Hey guys, it's Sifa. I'm telling a story today, and it's a short story that I wrote for my advanced fiction writing class for university. And the story is about this weird relationship I was in. I'm not going to give too many details, I'll just kind of let the story speak for itself. But the story is called Fag Hag. Okay? And for those of you who don't know what a fag hag is a woman who is usually straight and she's friends with gay men. Okay? So I'm going to tell my story now. Okay, fag hag. How do you know the tree is real if you can only see the silhouette? He asked, nodding to a live oak in front of a street lamp. Looking back, I'm sure it's something that he heard in one of his lib arts classes. I took his hand and we sat close on the concrete. The warm wind blew across Lake Pontchartrain and brought the scent of the ocean. We could have gone to a party that night and gotten drunk for free, but he said he'd rather spend time alone with me. I wondered why he would rather be with me out of all the girls that we knew. It made me feel really special. It was January 2008. We drove to Lana's to check out her new place. He always blared electronic music in his truck and sped way too fast. Oh, we're gonna call him Joey, by the way, because I didn't put his name in this story, so we're just gonna, to make it more clear, okay? Joey always blared electronic music in his truck and sped way too fast. You had to slam the passenger side door to close it because he had sideswiped some Mexicans when he was in high school. I didn't have a car, so I relied on him for transportation when my parents couldn't drive me. Lena's new housemates were a guy named Nick and some goth girl. They both complained about their weird sexual relationship. She told me that he liked her to fuck him in the ass with a strap on and that she didn't like it. Sorry. The guys whispered all night long while we played Captain Dickhead, which is a fun drinking game. After too many beers, Joey whispered in my ear, "This guy wants to fuck me, and he wants you to fuck his girlfriend. But you have to make out with me first," he said. Next time, maybe? I didn't want to. You promised that next time you got wasted, you would make out with me. He pouted, arms around my shoulders, face to face. Nick stopped me on the way to the bathroom as I walked away. I never thought that a girl like you would be into a guy like me. He was drunk. Nick grabbed the back of my head and began biting my lips violently. He put his hand up my shirt and I tensed all over immediately. Joey intervened. He looked at me in the eyes and said, "Do you want this? Look at me right now. Do you want this? Are you okay with this?" I looked into his dark eyes and he was so beautiful. Nick paused and glared at him. They both looked at me, but I couldn't speak. No. Nick dropped me on the sofa with the goth girl and stormed into the kitchen, slamming the door and cursing. I kissed Lana instead. It was my first kiss, and also the worst kiss I've ever had to this day. She didn't like girls. She was just fooling around, and I like that. For months after, Joey and I skipped class to walk around town, hand in hand. It was the springtime, and the city was beautiful, full of tropical plants and wild parrots. We discovered that we were the same height and weight exactly, and that our hands and feet were identical in size. Only he had dark hair and eyes and olive skin, and I was very fair. I wore his clothes and dressed as a guy some days. I was 19. We went to the drag king shows every Tuesday night, and he always told me that I needed to find a girl. After a while, he told me that I shouldn't hang out with my other friends anymore, that they were lame. Every time we went out, he picked out my outfits and told me how to style my hair. I didn't realize what was happening. He was beginning to control me. I was very happy on the surface, but I was hiding something really dark. I remember waking up in his bed so many times. During the summer, and his sheets smelled like boy. He was asleep on the floor. We took turns sleeping in the bed. I wasn't ready for him to leave yet. He was all that I had at this point. He didn't want me to work a job, just to be there when he got home. I was covered in blood. He helped me change my bandages and keep things clean so I wouldn't get an infection and have to go to the doctor. Even though I needed stitches, he didn't want me to go, and neither did I. I remember being in his room on the bed and feeling totally ignored and worthless for the first time in my life. I would have panic attacks, hyperventilating and shaking, and I finally let him kiss me. I also touched him when we went skinny dipping like he asked me to. It was all a joke to him, but to me it was really frightening and I didn't like it, but he didn't know. I never knew stubble until him. It made me feel warm all over, and I remember how soft his skin was. He was always dark and I was light. All I knew was him. He was my breath and my sleep, my bread and my milk. He liked it that way. My old friends stopped calling or texting anymore. It was just us. I told myself that I would cut every day that he didn't call me when I was on vacation in August, and I did until I got bored of it. It was October, almost a year since we met, and I got a call from my psychiatrist that my mom had found a pair of my jeans soaked in blood in my closet. I knew that it was time. I called Joey, and he quoted some lines from Tegan and Sarah, I think from the song Dark Comes Soon, about how you know that your loved ones will always be there for you, and those songs. I decided that it was okay for me to go, and I felt warm all over. I went to a hospital, and they admitted me to some psych ward against my will. I didn't realize that they could do that. But Joey visited me every day. He drove all the way from Gentilly to the West Bank to visit me every day. And I remember I would watch out the window of the psych ward until I saw his beat up truck. And I remember watching him step out in the fall air, tousling his hair, and how confidently he stepped and came to me. But I couldn't smell the lake from the West Bank. He told me. I sat in his lap and he let me cry into his shoulder, and all the women said, "Sugar, you have such a nice boyfriend. He's so handsome and kind to you." And I had to tell them the truth. And it hurt. I had to tell them that he wasn't my boyfriend. But he couldn't know that I loved him. If I told him, I knew that he would leave me forever. The day came that I called him and told him that I needed to be picked up, that I was finally being let out. He was so happy, so joyful. He picked me up in his truck and took me out to Zot's and out to dinner at our favorite restaurant in the city. He drove me to my dorm. We walked up and brought all my stuff back in. I remember we sat down on my bed and he kissed my cheek and ran his fingers through my long blonde hair. And he looked me in the eye, and I could see myself from afar, as if I was gazing down. He made me feel like the only star in the sky. I felt the deepest and most vast, empty love that I didn't know could ever exist. I knew that I would be his forever, in a way. And then he was gone. That's my story. I'm sorry if a lot of it's really unclear. I tried to use different techniques in this story about, like, I actually added a lot of detail when I was just telling it to make it more clear. But I kind of like the idea that it's really unclear because I'm supposed to be, or the main character is supposed to be unsure of what's happening. And so the idea is that it's supposed to be unclear and very ambiguous of a story, and you're not sure what the relationship is like. So that's kind of what I was going for, but, um, yeah, I'm like really, just thinking about it kind of really bothers me and upsets me. My heart is just racing a lot. But, tell me, guys, tell me what you think, guys, okay?